Service your existing car with us right now.
And it's worth £500 off your next car.
Yes, at Macklin Motors Toyota, we'll give you a £500 voucher off any of our brand new Toyotas when you book in for a service with our expert Toyota trained technicians.
We even have complimentary courtesy cars available, so book your service now and get £500 off any new Toyota.
Visit macklinmotors.co.uk or see us at Kennishead Road, Darnley.
Macklin Motors, the new name for Toyota sales and servicing in Glasgow.
Valid on services till 30th September. Excludes Motability and fleet customers. One £500 voucher per vehicle purchased by 31st December.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com, representing some of the biggest motoring manufacturers across Scotland.
Let's go!
Celtic and Rangers cruising at the weekend. 5-goal Celtic are table toppers again, 24 hours after Rangers, the 4-goal victory over St Johnstone, saw them take the lead overnight. Who can catch them this season? 3 games down. Barry Ferguson, only 35 to go.
Yeah, there's a long way to go. But listen, both Rangers and Celtic have got off to great starts, and they're producing some good displays in scoring goals. So as I said, Paul, when the season started, it's going to be difficult for them to take points off Rangers and Celtic. If they're at it, the quality that they've got, not just in the starting 11 that the manager picks, it's what they can bring off the bench. And that was shown again at the weekend with Rangers, with Arfield and Lawrence coming off the bench, scoring goals. And then you've seen Celtic with Giakoumakis, and Starfelt coming on, Forrest as well, Abada. So the quality that both of them have got, if they're on it and their attitude's spot on, I can't see MD getting near them.
Mark, Barry, we'll get straight into it. At the weekend, they were saying who's the best player so far this season. Chris Boyd suggested it was Ryan Kent. Faddy disagreed, James McFadden. What would you say? Who's the best after 3 games?
After 3 games, it's easy for me to say it's Jota, with the way he started, with his assists and the goals that he scored. But we're only 3 games in, as you mentioned earlier on. There's another 35 games. It could be Kyogo, Callum McGregor, Morelos, Kent, Tillman, who again really impressed at the weekend. So I think there's a long way to go before we decide who's the best player in Scotland. But at this early stage, listen, Jota's got off to an absolute flyer.
Massive start for both sides to the Old Firm at the weekend, Mark. They've 3 games down, 9 points.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, I thought at the start of the season, I think if you look at what Celtic won the title with last season, it was maybe 91 points. I said it'd be up to, I think the title winner, you might need to get to 100 points to win the title this season. 114 up for grabs. It's not going to be far off it. They are relentless. Both of them watched Rangers on Saturday, special performance. Tillman is man. Ryan Kent's not even the best player at Rangers, never mind the best player in the country at the moment. He's a good player, and obviously he'll be an important part tomorrow. But he's not been on it yet. But Tillman really looks the part, and you know, speaking to people at Rangers on Saturday, Paul, they think he's a bit special. They think, you know, he's destined for big things in the game, and that's why he's at Bayern Munich. And it's a great compliment to Rangers and to Giovanni Van Bronckhorst at Bayern Munich. I've trusted, because that's not a guy that's, you know, so far out there, but there's a guy that Bayern Munich sees, somebody that can play for them, but they've given him out to Rangers alone. So it's good, and he was special on Saturday. And for Celtic, Jota obviously catches the eye. You know, his goals, and plays with a smile on his face. He's a great personality as well. But you know what? Greg Taylor's been every bit as good in the opening 3 games of the season. He's had to hold off Bernabei as well. So you look at Greg Taylor and what he does for Celtic, he plays a very important role too. But obviously Jota grabs the headlines.
Kyogo as well. We haven't mentioned him yet, Barry. A couple of goals so far, and he would be a contender for one of the informed players at the moment.
Yeah, again, he's got off to a good start. I mean, Celtic's first goal was a great goal. You heard Postecoglou speak after in his interview. It's something they work on quite a lot with the fullback coming inside, and obviously it's the way that Greg Taylor receives the ball. He opens his body straight away. He knows what's round about him, and he plays a great ball through. But it's Maeda that makes that run, and a great ball across, and obviously Kyogo finishes. Again, I watched both games, and 2 of them they're so strong. And I keep going back to it. It's the strength and depth that they've got, and when they do start to get a bit tired or leggy, they can go and make the changes. And the guys that they're bringing off the bench, both Rangers and Celtic, are making them even stronger at times.
So every bit is good and sometimes better, the ones
Yeah,
they're bringing on.
I mean, you could
Yeah.
argue with Rangers at the weekend. Lawrence and Arfield could easily, for me, start Kamara, Morelos, and then you look at Celtic, James Forrest, Giacomakis, Starfelt played every single game last year, Abada. So these are the guys that both Rangers and Celtic are bringing off the bench, and it's real quality throughout the squad.
Going to talk about it in the next couple of hours. 0808 17 17 700. You know the number for Glasgow's own Go Radio with Macklin Motors. It's Mark Guidi, Barry Ferguson, Paul Cooney. What a weekend. What a weekend for Motherwell. And the first full game in charge, as the full-time manager, Stephen Hamilton takes them to Aberdeen. Aberdeen 2, Motherwell 3. We'll speak about it in a moment.
And they deserved it.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Yeah,
Yep,
a goal up, then 2-1 down.
You just had to listen to Jim Goodwin after it. He was really disappointed, but he praised Motherwell and says that they thoroughly deserved the 3 points. And the difference is Motherwell making that decision, giving Stevie Hamill the reins. And I think, I hope that he does a good job, because you like to see young managers being given that opportunity, and certainly Stevie Hamill's been given that, and as permanent boss, he's got off to a great start.
We'll go through all the games during the next couple of hours. Livy winning 2-1 at home to Hibs. Rangers 4-0 against St Johnstone. Cholak, Tillman, Arfield and Lawrence. And St Mirren getting off the mark, a 1-goal victory against Ross County. Richard Tate, what a goal. We'll talk about that in the next couple of hours. And then on Sunday, Kilmarnock 0, Celtic 5, Kyogo, Jota, Moritz Jens, Starfelt and Giacomakis. And then Hearts 4, Dundee United 1. Lawrence Shanklin took his time, didn't he? 44 seconds or something to score against his old club. What do you think? 0808 17 17 700. And the managers then, one of the big talking points was obviously Saturday down south, Man United losing 4-0 at Brentford. Could have been more. And what about Tuchel versus Conte? I want to ask you, Barry, during the next couple of hours, have you ever been involved in any games like that where the managers have gone head to head?
Well, not as fiery as what I watched yesterday, but you get that. That's passion. That shows me that both managers are so committed to the cause. Listen, see, as long as there's no blood and no fisticuffs, I don't mind it. And I think if you ask your fans, one thing that you need in football is passion. And when a manager shows that at the side of the pitch, the players relate to that. There was one, I'm saying no long ago, maybe 10, 12 years ago, Coisty and Neil Lennon at the side, a bit of toing and throwing. But listen, for me, as I said, it shows that they care, they're desperate to win. And you've seen that with the game. I thought it was a brilliant game to watch. Two teams, Chelsea were the better team, no doubt about it. But you see with the equaliser, Spurs to make
Right
it
at
one
the
each.
end,
Conte's right
The
in
passion,
his face, and then Chelsea go 2-1 up, and Tuchel's running past the bench, giving it.
He's quite
all
fast.
sorts.
Tuchel, he can move.
Yeah, I would have slid in and tackled him there if he was running past me. But listen, I don't mind that. That just shows me that the sheer commitment of these two managers. Because let's be honest, they're under pressure to get results, both of them.
They're only in 12 million a year. Mark, what's that? That's not too bad. That's not bad. Mark, were you ever involved? Do you remember? You must, covering football over the years, those kind of confrontations.
I do remember, obviously, the one the Scottish Cup replay that Barry's talking about. With Celtic and Rangers.
Were you playing in that, Barry? Did you play? No, you didn't.
Led to a government inquiry and all sorts of
they
things.
went right over the top.
It was ridiculous.
Remember people were called to Holyrood and all that.
Ridiculous. It was a piece of nonsense. But it was a good incident. It was a good incident. And it's never ever come out what Alan McCoy said to whisper to Neil Lennon.
Can you tell us? You played fives with him the other day?
I can't.
Right,
but other ones, I remember Walter Smith and mixed with Patterlinen in a Scottish Cup game at Ibrox in the dugouts. I remember covering Hamilton against St Johnstone, and Ricky Foster and Danny Swanson, both in the same team, the same St Johnstone team, traded blows, both get sent off. So there's been a few, but Conte and Tuchel was brilliant. I love that, and for the television viewer, for the people inside Stanford Bridge, for the players seeing that coming from the managers and the backroom staff and everybody else, great. But I thought Anthony Taylor, who's such a good referee, he had a shocker, but VAR were even worse. They didn't help him properly yesterday down there, really, really bad.
I couldn't believe the one at the corner where the Spurs players,
Romero and Cucurella.
He's clearly, and you can see the referee, he's clearly looking at it, and he's pulled his hair. I mean, I can see why Chelsea are fuming. And then what led to that corner kick with the Tottenham player going back, it was a clear foul. And again, that's where VAR mean with the corner? Surely they've got to see that.
So much to talk about. We haven't even mentioned 24 hours from now, all eyes will be heading towards Ibrox.
Oh, now you're talking, Paul.
Look at Barry's face. We'll get it on the socials. Tomorrow night, Champions League qualifier.
That's just stunning. That's stunning.
Do you know, I can picture teams. I can picture like the ball boys, you know, waving the
in the centre circle,
the big ball thing that they have in the mat. Oh, I mean, God, you've played in it and captained Rangers, but even just as a fan in the media, I just watch you just honestly, but it's so special that music and just that final 60 seconds before kick-off. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yep, and a lot of these Rangers players have never sampled that, so they would have watched it on TV. So when they're lined up facing the main stand and that tune comes on, it's amazing. Then see when the tune stops, the roar of the fans. That's what playing football's all about. And honestly, I can't wait for tomorrow night. I think it's going to be a cracker. PSV, great result of the weekend. You still playing that in the back?
It's the 12-inch version. It's the epic version. That's it from us. Thanks, everyone.
So PSV, good result of the weekend. Paul, 5-2. So they're going to come and look. I don't think they're going to sit back. They're going to have a go. But I think that'll play into Rangers' hands. But certainly, as I said, with the fans behind the Rangers team, and now Rangers are starting to motor a wee bit. Good performance again against St Johnstone. Few goals. They've got to, as I said in Friday, they've got to make sure that they go over to Eindhoven with a decent result.
More from Barry on that shortly, and we're going to speak to GVB today. Oh, you have to. I mean, and of course Rangers hopefully 2 games away from it. Celtic are there as well. This could be a season like no other. 12 years since.
Yeah, it could be an epic one.
Long time,
Paul. Yeah, and what a game it's going to be. Rangers PSV, absolutely outstanding fixture to look forward to.
What a way.
You're like an operatic conductor.
On the wee box here. And that's a timely introduction.
Are you standing in a box?
If you want. Hugh's on the line from Lanark. Hi, Hugh.
Good evening, guys. What an introduction for me. Thanks for the music.
Exactly, we got the orchestra for you. Thanks, chaps. Thanks, ladies. Yep, thank you. Just filing out.
Before I go on my main point about Stevie Hammond Motherwell, as you know, I'm a Motherwell fan.
Yep.
I do agree with Barry. I actually think I fancy Rangers strongly tomorrow night. For a 3-1 victory, because I think at Ibrox they're so difficult to break down, to beat, and if PSV do come out, it's playing right in the Rangers' hands. So good luck to them. I actually do hope they get there. I would like to see that.
Brilliant, Hugh. That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
You know, it's great, Mark. Wouldn't it be fantastic tomorrow night?
It's going to be a cracker. I read Derek McInnes' column in the Mail on Sunday. Yes, I don't know if you read it, but it was a brilliant column talking about his own journey for that game. But he was asked to man Mark Nealis. By Dick had frozen him out, brought him back in for the game, and Derek said he get man of the match. And he said he thought Michael Moles was exceptional that night and singled out yourself and Lorenzo as well. But he said, you know, Van Nistelrooy, 70% of his goals came from Nealis assists.
We spoke about him on Friday.
So they had that. So Derek's column was good, but just talking about the atmosphere and Ibrox and PSV, I think it's going to be a cracker, Paul.
Yeah.
Everybody, you speak to the Dutch guys over by Bert Kortman, Michael Moles, Arthur Newman, they're all, and even I think Giovanni, they're all saying it's 50-50. I would make Rangers very slight favourites, very, very slight. I've got a really good feeling for Rangers over the 2 legs that they're going to do it. I really do. I just think there's something about PSV are a really good team. I know Rangers will need to do a bit special to beat them over the 2 legs.
Who handles the occasion better? There's going to be a lot of pressure. And the same as I said, like the PSV, they've played in big games. Quite a few of them wouldn't have sampled what they're going to sample tomorrow night at Ibrox.
Hugh, let's turn to Motherwell. You'll be loving the league table today. Celtic and Rangers on 9, Hearts on 7, and then 4th position, Motherwell, then Livy on 6. Is it too early to say this is a turnaround?
I think that would put too much pressure and too much expectations. And I think we're definitely enjoying it. And I think on Saturday, by far the better team should have scored more goals. We weren't clinical enough, especially 1-on-1 and with Van Veen 1-on-1. I'm shouting, hit the ball. And also when the keeper's up for their corner kick, and I'm thinking, just hit a shot at goal. But yeah, so impressed with how the team is set up now. I think if you look at Alexander's tactics previously, it was quite negative, and I've said it on this programme before. And I think with Stevie Hammond coming in, Barry will know him really well. We play against him such like, and it was just so refreshing to see a team going forward instead of not the ball out, just lumping it. Playing through the midfield was phenomenal. See Slattery came on to him, fantastic. Nearly as I thought was outstanding. And that's what he's missing. That drive forward and passion, and that comes through the manager. In my opinion, comes wholly and directly straight from Stevie Hammell.
Barry?
Yeah, I watched the highlights, and just to me, I was watching the Motherwell players closely. It looks to me if they're in a happy place. I think they were desperate for Stevie Hammell to get the job, and the difference in them, they were so attack minded. I looked at the wide players; they were high and wide as before. They were really like off the ball quite a bit and defensively minded. But under Stevie Hammell, they look if they're going to attack, and that's what they've done up at Pittodrie. And look, they should have won by more, no doubt about it. And it's great to see young managers getting the opportunity. And I think in time, he's got a couple of weeks. He makes a few signings because I do think they need a couple of players in. But I think it could be a good season, and I think Motherwell have appointed the right man in Stevie Hammell, because he gets the club. He knows the club inside out. The fans will relate to him. He'll relate to the fans, and I think it's a good piece of business with the Motherwell board making that appointment.
Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I think after, despite the fact that Hugh know Motherwell qualify for Europe, it's not been a great 2022. There was a lot of frustration with the fans, results, with Graham Alexander. So I think somebody like Stevie Hammell coming in, and it's clear to see that the players did want him. Now you look at it, you're saying 6 points, Paul, from 3 games, brilliant. It could have been 7. There were an injury time winner from St Johnstone from getting a point, so they could actually be sitting, level with Hearts on 7 points. But all things considered, it's a good start. I do know they're very close to bringing in 1 or 2 players I'm sure that Hugh and other Motherwell supporters will be excited about over the next couple of days. So they've been really active.
1 or 2?
Try to get at least, try to get help Stevie Hammell. Obviously Saturday was a great result. I don't think many of us could see that coming, to be perfectly honest, against Aberdeen at Pittodrie, but they know there's still work to be done. It's a great start that they've had, but they're not fooled into thinking the squad's perfect. They've still got a number of players short, but they're certainly on the right track.
To me, it looked as if they played with a bit of freedom under Graham Alexander. That they were more
constrained,
and like sitting behind the ball and scared to concede a goal. But under Stevie Hammell, it looked as if they were confident. They played in tight spaces. They made the pitch big, and as I said, it could have been 4 or 5. They would have went away for Pittodrie disappointed. It was only 3-2 because they thoroughly deserved it. And hopefully he's been given a wee bit of money to go and strengthen, because I do think if they do bring in 2 or 3 players, they will be okay this season, Motherwell.
Mark, any sign of Mikey Johnson, do you think, making the journey along? Maybe even on loan?
I think that's something that Motherwell and other clubs will be exploring. I think it's kind of common knowledge that Mikey Johnson's available. A lot would be what Celtic thinks the right club for him, and obviously Mikey would have a say as well in where he wanted to go. But I think we said it in the programme last week, if it was an option to go to Motherwell, I can see that being a good fit for both parties.
Hugh, final thought?
Yeah, really positive, really great start for Hammy, and yeah, let's give him. I know Mark's saying about 2 or 3 players. I've heard there's 4 in the pipeline, with 1 a definite. Should be announced on Thursday. I've heard that's a definite. Just pen and paper needs to go, and that's it.
Thursday.
So I'm really excited about it.
Good. Here's Barry.
Yeah, and they've got a player in their hands. I mentioned him last year. Keep your eye on him this year. If he continues his progression, Cornelius in the middle of the pitch again. He was a standout at the weekend, and it's one of the ones that Motherwell fans will know, and Motherwell as a club will know. If he performs to that level, there'll be clubs sniffing about him.
Great call, thanks you.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com, representing some of the biggest motoring manufacturers across Scotland.
Let's go!
Go Radio Football Show. Paul Cooney, Barry Ferguson, Mark Guidi. Thanks for all your calls. 08 08 17 17 700, and for all the downloads, over 2 million to the Go Radio Football Show. Well, what a weekend. It was cruise control for Rangers on Saturday, and then Celtic on Sunday. 5-goal win in the sunshine at Kilmarnock. Ange Postecoglou.
Days like this, you can sort of just try and get through them and sort of get your win and leave. But that's not the kind of football team we want to be. Every game gives us an opportunity to play our football and try and be as dominating as we can. And, if it doesn't work out, it's not because we haven't intended to do so. So, we don't need to make excuses at the end of it. We just try and play our football, and like I said, we got our rewards.
Barry, they got the rewards, and it's a special brand of football.
Yeah, I was impressed with the performance, because you're going down to Kilmarnock, artificial surface, roasting hot day, but I thought they coped with it, and they got off to the ideal start in terms of getting that goal after 7 minutes, and that settled them down. And let's be honest, they controlled the full game. Derek's team came out in the second half and did okay for a 20-minute period, stopping Celtic from getting any more goals. But once they got that fourth, they were as you mentioned the word, it was cruise control for them. Derek will be disappointed with some of the goals. The first goal, it was actually the wide boy gets caught ball watching, but it is a great ball for Taylor and a great run for Maeda. The goalkeeper for the second, I'd expect Big Sam Walker. I think if you ask him himself, his hand's got to be stronger. And same for Starfelt, he's got to catch that for me. But look, Celtic thoroughly deserved it. They were, as I said, they were too strong for Kilmarnock. And again, I keep going back to it and I keep mentioning it. Look at the players they brought on. Strong players, guys that could easily get into the starting 11. So all in all, Celtic ran the show and thoroughly deserved the 3 points, and it could have been even more goals.
Starfelt got his first goal for Celtic, and Giakoumakis coming on, overhead kick. Moritz as well, overhead kick.
No, side kick.
Side kick.
Not
quite. Scissor kick. No.
Yeah, good finishes. Big Jens' goal was a cracker. Giakoumakis again, a real special finish. Maybe the goalkeeper maybe a wee bit disappointed with that one as well. But Celtic just looking the part, Paul. And actually, I think we spoke last week about Rangers. Would they want the game against Hibs postponed ahead of Peter? They want to keep a rhythm of it. I think once the Champions League starts, now albeit Celtic might get a couple of defeats in there, and maybe morale might, but I don't know. We can deal with that near the time. But I think Celtic would be so much better having 2 games a week just now as well. You see them getting better game on game. The 90 minutes that they put in and yesterday at Rugby Park was pretty special with the conditions and everything that goes with it. But you could see the pleasure, and you never really see Ange Postecoglou smiling much after a goal. But it shows you what a popular character and player that Starfelt is in the group. When you see how they responded to him, how he responded to scoring his goal, and Ange Postecoglou, that's maybe the happiest I've ever seen him after Celtic scoring a goal. And I think it was the fourth that made it 4-0. It wasn't an important goal, but I think for Starfelt, I think he's a popular guy in the group, popular in the dressing room, a good pro, as most Scandinavians are. But yeah, Celtic are looking pretty special, and for me, having now assessed and watching Rangers live on Saturday, long way to go. They meet each other in a fortnight's time, just over a fortnight. But I do think at the moment Celtic's a team to beat. I really do. Rangers are a special team, and it will be very, very close. But at the moment, I'd have to say it, I think Celtic's get the edge.
What about Greg Taylor? What did you think? He's been mentioned a couple of times, arguably man of the match. What do you think of his game and how he's improved this year? Yeah, certainly with the new signing coming in, he's probably thought to himself, right, I need to step it up a level. And as I said, a lot of people goes on about Jota and Kyogo and Callum McGregor, and rightly so, because they're top players, but he was very good yesterday. You got to take your hat off to him. With that, and they say inverted fullback, he actually enjoys coming in and playing. And as I said to you, the first goal, if any young players watching that, how he receives it, opens his body, he's aware of what's round about him, and he plays a pass that a midfielder would love to play, like a Callum McGregor type pass. But no, he looks to me if he's got that bit between his teeth, because he wants to make sure he's in that starting 11, because he knows that there's players on the sideline that are going to be breathing down your neck. If you don't perform, you're going to bout the team. But he was very good, and as I said, he's one of the ones where week in, week out, let's be honest, he never lets you down. He does. I think, Celtic supporters that I speak to, he's a steady 7 out of 10 every single week. And look, the manager really rates him. You seen the interview after it, Jota acknowledging what he does for the team. So no, he's certainly come on leaps and bounds since Postecoglou's come in my opinion. Injury check, sorry Mark. Injury check, Moritz Jens, any problem?
Yeah, I think he's okay. I'm not sure what the actual issue was, but seeing him after the game, he was moving okay.
That was the manager on Sky afterwards.
Yeah, he'll be pleased with that. He want to keep all options open, Paul. You know, when it's Jens and Cameron Carter Vickers, look as if there's a foundation there for a very strong partnership. But now in Starfelt coming back, you've still got young Stephen Wells, so they're really, really well off. 4 very good options. It's always going to be Carter Vickers plus 1, however the manager decides to go for it. And then Greg Taylor, I've just got nothing but admiration for him, because he's not as an easy ride. He's had to win over the Celtic supporters. You know, when Celtic, every transfer window, you'd have Celtic fans on this show, Paul, saying we need to strengthen left back, we need to strengthen left back. You don't hear them saying that now. Now Celtic spent $3.5 million strengthening that position and Bernabei. Yep. But Greg Taylor has just kept his head down, never mumped and moaned, had to come through a lot, and at £2 million, Neil Lennon signed him, remember. What a great piece of business.
He has improved, but big time over the last 12 months in my eyes. I always thought it was one of the ones where will he be a Celtic player, because obviously coming for Kilmarnock, no disrespect, but you're coming in with the expectations and the pressures. Neil Lennon, as Mark just mentioned, they're signing him for £2 million, which is a fair bit of cash. But I think over the last 12 months he has grew into become a really important part of that Celtic team.
I see his old manager Stevie Clark was in the stand at the game. As Postecoglou afterwards said how pleased he was at the spread of goals.
Yeah, look, I think it's something we want to be. We want to be a team that's got multiple threats going forward. You know, our centre halves are contributing at the moment, which is great. Not just with the starting 11 guys coming off the bench. Look, there's no doubt about it. We want to be a team that scores goals, has multiple avenues to do that.
Multiple avenues, Barry. Well, what about Giakoumakis then? What do you make of him? Top scorer last season, along with Reagan Charles Cook.
I'm sure he'll be frustrated because he's not getting much game time, but all you can do when you get that 20 minutes or 25 minutes is come on and make an impact. And that's what he done yesterday. Some finish.
So what was that kick?
Let's be honest with you. It was the power that he generated for the bicycle kick was unbelievable. But again, he's one of the ones where the manager's in a great position that he can. Kyogo's clearly his number one striker, right? Do you know what? Hot day, he's ran his socks off. I'll give him a wee respite, and then he sends on Giakoumakis and he scores a wonderful goal. One thing I will say about him is he knows where the back of the net is, or the pokey, should I say. He knows, he does. He's a penalty box striker, pretty similar to Cholak. They need service, these guys, and certainly at this moment in time, when he comes off the bench, he's getting plenty of service. If that's not for the fullbacks, it's for the wide guys.
Mark, similarities in some ways in that Cholak got criticism big time just a couple of weeks ago. He's now getting goals, but at the moment we're on Giakoumakis, and I think at the beginning people were so quite rightly hung up on Kyogo Furuhashi. People loved him.
I was a wee bit with Giakoumakis. I wasn't too sure of him. But then you've got to strip it back. Missed pre-season. He's got a bit of catch up to do. Celtic play a total different way what his previous club in Holland played, and then as the seasons go on, he gets stronger and stronger. And let's be honest, when he got the service, he put the ball in the back of the net.
Was it Giakoumakis as well that injured himself in a warm-up? Was it?
Right.
Like, you know, so it was
Right.
things
The
like
penalty
that
as well,
Yeah,
wasn't
so
it?
there was stuff going about, you know, that, and I think probably which would have been a burden for him was right away he was getting compared to Kyogo, because Kyogo came in and made such an impact. And Celtic, as we know, we've always had great number nines, you know, some of the players down the year, and you look at the top scorer in Holland. So it took him a while to get going, but you look at the quality of some of his finishes. I think he's as good a finisher as any player in Scotland. When you look at just assess his finishing, and you look at Cholak as well, you said that he was getting criticism, Paul. He was, but it was totally unfair. Totally unfair to start having a go at the guy, because you know, okay, he did have a great 90 minutes against Union over in Belgium in the first leg, but who did? And the Rangers jersey, did he miss sitters? Was he not trying a leg? No, he wasn't. But it became, you know, it instantly became a whipping boy that night, and it was absolutely unfair. He's a goal scorer. Listen, he's not as good as Morelos, we know that, but at 1.8 million quid he's not going to be. But you look at it, 1.8 million, is that value for money? Well, we can say already with absolute certainty it is value for money at 1.8 million, and that's all you can do as a club. Try and get value for money out of your signings.
I'll start judging him in a couple of months. The criticism he's come in for, I think, is a bit unfair, because some of the games he's not enough service. He's the type of striker that relies on balls coming into the box, and he's not had that. But just look at the chances he's had. Union, one chance, scores. St Johnstone, scores. So he knows, again, he's a type of player, he knows where the back of the net is. And I think sometimes you've got to hold back a wee bit, let players settle in, let them see if when they do get the service, they're going to produce the goods, because he's there for a reason. He's there to score goals. But we all know, Rangers number 9 is Morelos. He's not a Morelos, but one thing he is a goal scorer. If he gets the service, he will put the ball in the back of the net.
Here is Čolak speaking about Morelos.
Yeah, me as a player, as a person, I always go maximum. It doesn't matter, is it training or games. To have a player like Alfredo Morelos and all this team with the quality players makes us reaching in all the trainings and games the maximum. And of course, to have him with me, I think it means a lot also for the team that we can help the team with our work, with scoring goals. And we need players like this on every position to be successful as a team.
Also, as well, one thing you've got to remember about Čolak as well, that Rangers have needed, Paul, was somebody with a good attendance record. Now he's there, he's available every game for selection. Now, nothing against Kemar Roofe, he's a quality player, a terrific player, but he's not got a great attendance record. So there's Čolak filling in the void for Morelos just now and doing very, very well. Played his part in all the games so far. Now Morelos, you'd expect he may well start tomorrow night. That might be his time to go and start, maybe not. But if not, you know that Čolak is there. He is a reliable deputy, a guy that's not going to let you down and come in and do his part for the team and be available. And you can tell there he's got a good attitude. When you listen to him speaking, he's got a good attitude. He wants to be a part of it and wants to do well.
He's a team player. What I've seen him, sometimes you're a bit frustrated because he's not getting too much of the ball. He's not a link up. He's not going to come and do what Morelos does. He's a physical presence, and he relies on service coming into the box. That's when he comes alive. So a lot of people are judging him against Morelos with two totally different players. But again, 1.8 million. It's not a lot of money.
Who starts tomorrow night for you,
Morelos?
Barry? Definitely. He's going to start.
Yep.
Mark?
I'm not sure if it's maybe just a wee bit soon for me. I'm wondering if he's still at that stage, maybe the 30 minutes, but I might be wrong. And again, Giovanni will know, and his staff will know PSV inside out. He'll know what way they're going to play. Does it suit Čolak more, or is it time for unleash Morelos for an hour even and then bring Čolak on? I'm not sure, but I'd be tempted to say Čolak.
Barry, what's your reasoning for Morelos from the start?
Because he's Rangers' best number 9. We all know how big a game it is for Rangers. Now he said, was that 330 minutes? He's now been back training fully for 2 or 3 weeks. He'll not be peak fitness, but for me, start him. Get a good 60-65 minutes. If he starts to hit a brick wall, then you've got Čolak who'll come on and run through a brick wall for you. So that's the way I'm looking. I think it's too big a game. I think Rangers have got to put out their strongest team. But it does come down to how he's feeling in terms of his tie. But for what I've seen, that injury's in the past now, and for me, you've got to play your strongest team, and Rangers with Morelos in it are a stronger team.
All or nothing, isn't it? It's huge tomorrow night.
Yeah, massive. I think Rangers have got to throw everything at PSV. I think they'll come out the usual, come out the traps, come out like caged animals. The place will be so loud. So they've got to, they know how important it is, because over in Eindhoven, it's going to be difficult. So I think Rangers have got to take at least a 2-3 goal lead, and they're more than capable of doing that. But they're coming up against a very good team, a team who like to get the ball down and play quite open. As I said, I think that might play into Rangers' hands. But again, Van Nistelrooy might come and sit back and park the bus in the 18-yard box and try and frustrate Rangers. We just need to wait and see. But Rangers have got to find a way, because they've got to take a lead going over to Eindhoven.
Because they scored, 5-2 away from home?
5-2, yep.
I know it's a different game, but still 5 goals away from home. It's going to be some game. It's coming thick and fast. Let's get a final word about Saturday from Giovanni Van Bronckhorst about Rangers' win.
The most pleased, of course, with the 3 points. That's always the most important thing. After that, we score 4 goals, which is also good. Clean sheet. We could change players in the second half. Really pleased with the overall performance, because we need the result every game we play in the league, and today after Tuesday, and of course with the game on Tuesday just in front of us, we wanted to make sure we got the 3 points with a lot of goals, and we achieved that today.
Can I throw a couple of names at you, Rangers names? I'll throw them at you and you can throw it back. Right, Scott Arfield, what would you say? Just a few words about his performance again at the weekend.
Yeah, Scott Arfield's a player that could start in the 11 or make an impact coming off the bench, which he done in Saturday. He's just got that knack. I mean, Mark was at the game. Yeah. I watched the game. He's got that knack of just being in the right place at the right time. It's that, for me, it's a dying breed. A midfielder who just ghosts, just goes, and he knows and he identifies where he thinks the ball's going to be cut back, and he does that with a great finish.
Mark, same for you. Malik Tillman.
Special player, Paul, and you know, he's if Rangers are going to have a successful season, he's going to be right at the heart of it.
Tom Lawrence.
I said at the start of the season, I think he could be the biggest surprise in terms of free transfer. Brilliant age, just coming into the peak of his game at 28. He was the captain down at Derby, and again he showed his qualities. Midweek against Union, he was probably the best player for me on the pitch. Comes off the bench, and again he's one of the midfielders who arrives into the box and he knows where the back of the net is.
We're looking at the weekend and we're looking forward to the game tomorrow night.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com, representing some of the biggest motoring manufacturers across Scotland.
Let's go!
Place is buzzing in here tonight. There's a big event on, Barry, Mark, isn't there? Are we going to it tonight?
Yeah. No. Well, we were speaking off air there. Just these sort of events, the football
awards.
Show are never invited, are we?
Maybe that
comes
be
down
tuned
to
in.
Maybe guys like yourself are not wanting to invite.
Probably, Barry, no question. But they'll be tuned into us on the way there. Have a great night tonight.
Yep, they're all in there eating crisps and drinking Prosecco.
All ready for the big night. The Go Radio Football Show. This time tomorrow night we'll be getting ready for Rangers against PSV. Injury update: James Sands is okay, and Ryan Kent as well.
Yeah, he's got a full squad to pick from. I watched his interview on Sky earlier on, and he looks bubbly. Obviously coming up against PSV, where he had many battles as a player and a manager. But these are the games as a manager and a player, Paul, you want to play in, and what an opportunity. They've got 180 minutes to give it their all, and I think if Rangers bring a level of performance what they showed over the last couple of games, they've got, well, know that they've got every chance they will go through.
He's been speaking about this depth of his squad, a bit like what you mentioned in the first 10 minutes.
Well, I think that's obvious quality we have in the squad. You know, we have players in every department who have different qualities, different strengths. Depending which team we play, which system, you know, I can choose, you know, the perfect 11 and also make changes within the game with change of tactics and, you know, change of personnel. So I'm really pleased that I have the ability to do so.
Mark, and he has that ability. We know that he can change.
He's good. Yeah. He's a really good manager, Paul. You know, he's a good tactician. He knows the game inside out. The players trust him. The players respect him. And you know, just one wee phrase that he said there that I think I've ever heard a manager say it, because they never like to say that they've got it. He said, the perfect 11. I can choose the perfect 11. And the managers very rarely say that, because they always want to make out that they're a wee bit short and they need one or two more, and they'll always say that just to keep pressure on the board. But when you look at it, when you assess the Rangers squad in terms of domestic, if they got the perfect, yeah, they probably have. They've got 16, 17, 18 exceptional outfield players. I've got two really strong goalkeepers. So that's why I think, Paul, you look at it, the early signs with Rangers, you look at the early signs with Celtic, I think we're all in agreement the 4 Old Firm games are going to settle the title. See, out with the 4 Old Firm games, I'd be surprised if Celtic and Rangers even drop 5 or 6 points over the course of the other 34 games. I really would. And even when the Champions League starts, or Europa League, whatever it's going to be for Rangers, they're I think both of them have got the bit between their teeth, and they're going to be absolutely relentless. And also as well, both managers still talking about strengthening their squad between now and September the 1st. If they can add 1 or 2 more, my goodness.
Barry,
it's a big shout for Mark, but I think he's right. I do. Oh, I can't see Rangers or Celtic if their attitude's right and they stay clear of a number of injuries or suspensions. They're far too strong. They're far too strong for me. Even if you're going to tough places like Robbie's Hearts at Tynecastle, where it's a hard place to go, Pittodrie, Easter Road, Fir Park, all these places. I just think if Rangers and Celtic are mentally on it, they're far too strong
to lose any points. You think they'll
No,
win?
but listen, through a season it's important. Like, there's always one. You might have an off day and you might drop 2 points, or there might be a freak result, but genuinely I think they'll drop hardly any points between them. And as I said, I think it'll come down to Old Firm games. And don't be surprised over the next couple of weeks that both Rangers and Celtic do bring in a couple of players each.
Do you know what this reminds me of? And I know it's early days, Paul, in the season, but assessing both teams over 3 games now in the league and looking at it, this reminds me of the quality, and in terms of the gap between Celtic and Rangers and the rest, reminds me of Barry's team at Rangers under Dick and the Martin O'Neill team, that early 2000s. I don't think both have been as strong. I don't think the gap's been as big since just over 20 years ago, when 19 weeks out of 20 years were blown. Both teams were blowing everybody away, and it was coming down. If you remember that kind of 2-season spell, when you look at the quality that you had in both lineups, you think of the Old Firm games, the starting 11s in that tunnel. I mean, it was frightening, the quality in show. I think we're back at that level again for the first time in 20 years.
Barry, you agree?
Yeah, it's close. I'm going to back the team that I obviously played in, and the Celtic team that I played against. I mean, there was some phenomenal players in both of their teams. Let's be honest. I don't need to
say a few names. Go on.
No, just to be clear, I'm not saying the current teams are better than your guys. What I'm saying, I think in terms of the standard just now compared to the rest, I think it reminds me of 20 years ago.
I think there's a massive gap. The only one it could get within touching distance, but I think it'll be tough, is Hearts. But both Rangers and Celtic, you look at the squads. You look, for instance, Saturday Rangers, Ryan Kent, who's probably one of their top players, our biggest player, out. Sands is out, and then the same at Celtic. You're Hatate. There's one. He's out injured. Who, for me, generally when he's fit, does play in Celtic starting 11. And then both of them, as I said, they're definitely going to go and strengthen, both of them. So it just shows you the strength and depth and the quality that they've got. And as I said to you, they're too strong for everybody else. It's who's going to become that third club. And I keep saying it, Hearts keep that front three. Now they've got other good players throughout their team. Hearts keep that front three fit and healthy. Third place is theirs.
They could give some problems to Celtic and Rangers.
Boyce, Shanklin and Barry Mackay are a dangerous trio.
And they were all on, and you could see that, you know, how well they. And Robbie said it wasn't the best performance at the weekend, but
he's always like, I quite like
happy.
that, but he's keeping them on their
demanding.
toes. That's the best way. Like, he'll go in and say, look, I'm happy, but we can always improve. But he's built a decent squad there.
Who's coming to town this season? We don't know yet. Celtic are in the Champions League in the next week or two. The draw will be there. Rangers hopefully 180 minutes away from it. They're not there yet, but PSV standing in the way. GVB was speaking about the Dutch opponents.
Well, we've seen a lot of games from them this season, of course. They have some new additions to the squad, new coach. So obviously they play a little bit different than last year, but you can see they brought a lot of experience. Because with Luc de Jong, a striker who's experienced everything in football, so I think he's one of the main players at the moment. They have a clear way of playing. They are comfortable on the ball, very strong in transition moments to attack. I mean, they won the Super Cup in a really good, attractive game with Ajax and started the league well. It's the last step into the group stages, so it's normal you're going to face a very difficult opponent.
They are. We know the names, Barry. You've mentioned them. Xabi Simons. Is there no chance that Cody Gakpo could be off to Man United or whatever?
It looks if he's going to be playing. But listen, again, these are the sort of hurdles you've got to come up against. You're coming up against quality, and Gio just mentioned a player there, Luc de Jong. I mean, there's a real quality player that you've got to make sure you keep quiet. Look, PSV are a very good team, so Rangers need to be on it. tomorrow night. This is what happens when you get to the closing stages of the qualifying games. There's no average teams left. PSV are a very good team. You know the way the Dutch play. They can all handle the ball. They're attack minded. They're a bit open, as I said, what might play into Rangers' hands, but that could change tomorrow night. We just need to wait and see at the start of the game what types of tactics that Van Nistelrooy come up with. But I think it will be a tough one for Rangers, but I think Rangers have got enough. Certainly got enough to go through in my eyes.
Do you agree with Mark that Rangers slightly favourites to do it?
Yeah, I would say they're slight favourites, as I said. Ideally, as a Rangers fan and want them to get through, I would rather have the away tie over Eindhoven first. But listen, can't be picky. That's the way the draw's been made. Rangers need to make sure they need to get the job seriously done tomorrow night. Make sure they go over there with a decent win under their belt, a few goals in front, and then tackle what's ahead of them in Eindhoven, which is going to be a tough place to go.
In the dugouts tomorrow night, GVB and Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Well, I played with, of course, the Man United game also when he was at Madrid. Made, of course, more games with him. So for me, playing with him brings back more memories than playing against him. You know, especially, of course, you know, I played against Ruud when we played with Rangers against PSV in the 90s where we were in the Champions League. So, and that I think he just made his move to Manchester, I think a couple of months after or a year after that. So you could see the talent he brought and the talent he possesses at that time. And of course, it was special to play against the Dutch team for me, for myself, and my Dutch teammates, and of course, Dick Advocaat. But it's good to see him back again.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be nice just to see them, you know, in the dugouts tomorrow night. When you think in terms of if you were Dutch, you know, Paul, I mean, two legends, you know, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst captained Holland, the World Cup final, the quality that Ruud van Nistelrooy had. You think of that Dutch team for 20 years ago, you know, they were exceptional. But Ruud's a new coach, and why I make Rangers slight favourites is because Giovanni's a more experienced coach. The Rangers team have been together a bit more. They've had to come through big games or big, you know, two ties that are going to have to come through tomorrow night. PSV's a slightly newer team, but they're still very, very dangerous. And Rangers do have to take a lead. I would fear for Rangers if they don't have a lead tomorrow night. You know, if it's a 0-0 or a 1-1, I would really heavily swing the tie in PSV's favour. But any kind of lead tomorrow night would be brilliant to take over there and put the pressure right on PSV.
Barry, Rangers' great run to Seville, European final. Does that help them? How much will that help them?
Listen, they've gained the experience of the fans being in the stadiums and know what atmosphere that creates. And Mark makes a good point. This Rangers squad predominantly have been together. Yeah. The core of them have been together. They know how to handle these situations. PSV's made a few signings. He's tweaked the squad in the way that they play. So that's why I think Rangers are slight favourites to go into it. But when Gio was doing the interview there, 90s, 23 years ago, a long time.
Doesn't seem it, does it?
You could tell back then. I remember Advocaat mentioned young boy up top. Obviously Neelis was the more experienced one. Yeah. Watch him, keep an eye on him, and just look what we went on to do for not just the Dutch national team, but Man United and Real Madrid. He was
I forgot he was at Real Madrid.
Yeah,
I have to be honest.
Because maybe he left then,
yeah. Phenomenal striker. Yeah. Phenomenal striker.
And how Man United could do with him now. But that's for another day. It's 6 o'clock.
Him and another 22 others.
0808 17 17 700.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com, representing some of the biggest motoring manufacturers across Scotland. Let's go!